guys, Shelby Smith from Gym and Eat Crickets. It is December 30th, 2021, which means that it is time to do a 2021 goals recap. So 2020 was a weird year. 2021, also still a weird year. But I did something a little different in this past 12 months. I set some goals. Not really typical for me. Personality type wise, I suppose it's kind of surprising that I've never really set formal goals. Definitely didn't do it on the business side. I guess I have in the past on the personal side. I just really had to think about it. There was a year in high school where I didn't eat candy for the entire year. That was technically a goal, I guess. And I actually stuck to that one. I think it's like one of the very few New Year's resolutions that I've ever really stuck to. Maybe I'll try that one again. Anyways, if you did not check out how I grew my cricket sales by 217% in 12 months video, then you don't necessarily have the context of what 2020 was like for me and for my business. Go check that one out because I'm not going to rehash the entire thing, but I'll do part of it. So, end of 2020, I was set to do a whole bunch of markets. Even though COVID had hit, a bunch of the holiday markets had figured out a way to make it work. Things were kind of opening back up. A week before my first holiday market was supposed to hit, Governor of Iowa shut everything down. No large gatherings, no anything that way. So all of a sudden I had a bunch of time again. In some ways I had a bunch of time to wallow over how bad the entire year went for me and how I could not have 2021 be the same as 2020 because it was not great. Rather than sit around and wallow too much, I ended up reading a whole bunch of books about goal setting, planning, moving my business forward, all of those things for 2021. I would not have survived another year if I had another year like 2020, so I knew something had to change. I was willing to do whatever it took to make 2021 a better year. All of those books said that I definitely needed to be setting goals, something that was realistic, that I could actually measure, that was time constrained. I think they're called SMART goals, but I can't remember what the letters all stand for. Whatever. Google it. There's lots of information on it. So that's what I did in December of 2020 as I figured out how bad 2020 actually was. And then based off of that, what did I think or what did I hope that I could do in 2021? And if I'm really honest about the goals that I set for 2021, I was definitely not sure that they were realistic. Definitely did not see how I was gonna get to the end point. Didn't necessarily think they were possible, but regardless, I wrote them down, I put them out there, and here we are at the end of 2021. So how did I end up doing on my 2021 goals that I made public for everybody to see? I'm about to tell you. One of the keys with the goals this year for me was actually physically tracking the goals. Having a spreadsheet that I dedicated to each one of my goals, a tab for each one that I could track on a weekly basis to see what my progress was. It was something that kept them top of mind for me and helped me in my decision making to make sure that everything I was doing was hopefully moving those goals forward. That was the idea. So that spreadsheet, super important. Really glad that I have spreadsheet building skills from a previous career. Makes things a lot easier. The other thing was writing them down. I had my goals written down and this was my original that I wrote out. I wrote it with Sharpie on a physical piece of paper. Not sure why I didn't just type them up, but whatever, this worked. So I had these written out and I had them posted. I had one sitting next to me like where I read every day. I had one hanging on the bathroom wall next to my mirror, and then I have one hanging on just above my light switch in my processing facility. So writing them out and tracking them, super duper important for all of the success and progress that I had every year. The numbers that I'm going to share with you about each of the goals are what came out of my spreadsheet as of December 30th, 2021. These are the percentage of completion for each of the goals that I set. So goal number 1 was to double my 2020 gross sales. If any of you didn't watch the How I Grew My Sales by 217%, go back and watch that one. I mean, I go pretty in depth about how I ended up actually growing these sales. But if I look at my total completion on that one of doubling my 2020 gross sales, it's only 81%. 81 and 217 don't quite jive. The reason for that is my gross sales included a few other revenue streams that are not necessarily Cricut sales. It's things like grant competitions, it's other income sources, things like that went into my overall gross revenues, which is actually what I ended up tracking in my spreadsheet. I didn't track Cricut sales alone, though I could separate those out fairly easily. So that's how I came to the 217% increase in my Cricut sales versus only an 81% completion rate of my double my 2020 gross sales goal. Overall, pretty happy with that. Bummed that I didn't get all the way to 100% completion on that one, but it was quite close. So we were in the ballpark on that one. Goal number 2 was to add 100 new stores this year. I ended 2020 with 19 stores, 19 wholesale accounts. They were mainly in Iowa. I had some larger chain stores, but I had like a few locations of those, but they were mostly small independents, things like that. So my goal was to add 100 new stores this year, which would essentially 6x my wholesale footprint. In retrospect, like, that was a lot. That was some big growth in 12 months. So I didn't fully hit this one. I'm at 80% as of the 30th of December, so I added 80 new stores. If you are curious as to what stores I added or where you can find the Cricuts in these stores, go check out my Find Cricuts tab on my website. It shows all of them except for my last 2 that I haven't added yet. But hopefully by the time I have this uploaded, they'll be on there. 80% completion on that one. Pretty awesome. Like I said, that's essentially 5xing my wholesale footprint in 12 months, which is a lot. My third goal was to double my 2020 online orders. So these are my online orders that specifically go through my store, like my online store, my www.jiminicrickets.com store. I missed this one big time. So this one only had 62% completion for the year. I only grew my online orders by 24%. And like, when I say that, that was still freaking double-digit growth. There's something, I need to figure something out in 2022 to make that bigger, because I would like a larger proportion of my overall sales to be online orders. So that's one that I need to work on. I'm glad it grew. There was a while, probably September, October, where I was like, man, am I even gonna hit the same number of orders that I hit online last year? Because it was a little bit touch and go for a little bit. But then November, December were freaking bananas for online orders. So thank you guys. If any of you were the ones that placed those orders, you helped at least have some growth in my online orders this year. So we'll see what we can do in 2022 on that one. The fourth goal, I wanted to upload 2 YouTube videos per month. I ended up with 196% completion on that one. Before I shot this, I went through my content and to see exactly how many videos that I uploaded this year. And gosh, now I can't even remember. 46, I think. 46 videos in the last 12 months. And then I also did 5 live Q&As, which is something completely new for me, something that I had never done. So yeah, I crushed that goal. And the resulting growth for this overall channel, because the underlying goal for this was, and the underlying reason for me to upload 2 videos per month, was because I wanted to grow this YouTube channel. I wanted to grow the audience. I wanted another outlet, another long form outlet for me to help educate about raising and eating bugs. With the addition of uploading 2 YouTube videos per month, I ended up with 66,500 views in 2021, which is a 283% increase in my overall views. I had 3.3 thousand watch hours, which was a 327% increase in my overall watch hours for my channel. And I added 1.1 thousand subscribers, which is a 180% increase. So that was working. I will probably do something similar in 2022. We are creeping up on monetization. I have the subscribers, but I need another 700 hours of watch time. So if after this video you just want to go through like an entire playlist of just my videos to help me get there, much appreciated. Anyways, the fifth and final goal that I had for this year was 3 speaking engagements per month. This again was a really easy one for me to hit. I really enjoy speaking. I really enjoy telling stories. I really enjoy educating people about raising and eating bugs. So this one again was an easy goal for me to hit. I hit 131% of this goal. So this included speaking to groups. This included podcast interviews. This included radio and TV interviews, like all of those things, anything where I am speaking and telling the story of raising crickets and all of those things. So that one was also very easy for me to hit. I will probably do something similar again in 2022 for it, but I might back that off to 2 speaking engagements per month. I don't know yet. Still finalizing 2022 goals. And then on the personal side, because I made these public too, at least to my email list, I can't remember if I did it to everybody else as well. Personal, first goal was to read 10 pages of a book per day, minus the days when I got the cooties and when I got a really terrible stomach flu, like post-Thanksgiving. It wasn't food poisoning, but it was death. Minus those few times I did not read. I might not have read over the 11 days of the state fair either. That was busy. There were only a handful of days, maybe a month tops by the time you add everything in there, where I didn't read 10 pages of a book per day, but there were some days I made up with it where I was reading like 30 pages a day at one point, and I think for the last 6 weeks I've been reading 15 pages a day. I'm pretty sure I've read 20 something books this year, which is awesome. Don't ask me to pick a favorite because I don't think I can. That being said, Atomic Habits is pretty good. You should probably check that one out if you haven't. The second personal goal that I had, which I missed terribly, was I wanted to deadlift 350 pounds this year. I think I specifically wanted to do it at the state fair deadlift competition. I set this goal before I got into the state fair, and truthfully the underlying thing is I just wanted to be more consistent at the gym. I wanted to be more active. I wanted to lift more because it just makes me happier from a mental and physical side. I think I maybe deadlifted 330, which is cool because 275 at the beginning of the year was really tough. Failed miserably on that one, but it's okay. So I really think that all in all, the setting of the goals was the important part and not necessarily the hitting of the goals. That being said, super excited that I got as close as I did on some of them and that I crushed some of them the way that I did. Bummed that I missed a few others, but you know, it is what it is. So it's something that I will definitely be doing in 2022, trying to work out and finalize those in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll see how it goes. I think many of them are going to be very similar. I would love to double again on some of those things, but whether it's realistic or not is another story. But I don't know necessarily that it matters of how realistic it is. Again, I think it's just a function of setting the goals that is super important. So if you're setting goals next year, or if you set goals this year, I want to know how you did. Drop them in the comments. Let me know. Maybe if this convinced you to think about setting goals for the new year, I want to know. What are you guys working on? Thanks so much for being here. Please give this a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all of the things. It helps me to grow the YouTube channel, which is another one of my goals for 2022. That one is definitely carrying over. I think I saw some big growth this year, but really looking forward to what 2022 brings. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.